All right. Welcome back to In His Mind. First and foremost, I am wearing a $10 device, a wraparound thing. Very flexible, very cool, but that's kind of the problem. It so apologies for any sort of you know, jiggling around or whatever. I'm trying to keep it still as I can. Now, as you can see here, as a side hobby, I build Magic the Gathering decks. Uh, Very cheap. It's good quality. It's for something entirely different than what I normally do here with this channel. And I've been doing it since 2017. So I've been doing it longer than my actual YouTube channel here. So, yes, I'm playing Fallout New Vegas. I woke up around 1:30 in the morning, and it's like now 3:38, 39 in the morning. Just happened to watch a video here on the dark side of the furry fandom, and I had to stop and do a video on this because I have spent time talking with those in the furry community. I've spent a lot of time around and with them. Even went to one convention, I think it was FAW in 2019. Oh man, let me see here. I took some pictures back when I used to go to these weekly lunches that were in the area before I ended up moving. I stopped going because of a couple of reasons. One, I moved. That's kind of hard to attend when you're away, when you're not there in the same area. Two, I lost a lot of friends. And the last reason is drama. That's all over in the furry fandom online mostly. In real life, it's a very different story. Now, the community lunches and all that, I want to say it's better because you have families, you have a lot of women and kids there. And I do have a couple of pictures I will try to show and kind of let you see what things were like. The only real problem is this is from 2019, before 2020 and COVID hit. That's important because things may have actually changed. I have been back. I've been back. I'm gonna say like a couple times, twice. I ended up giving someone a ride once, and I can't remember the other one. Anyway, so as far as that goes, I don't stay in contact with anyone there per se. I'm trying to avoid problems and issues. The thing is, I don't like where I'm at. I will say that time and time again. But what I'm doing, there's a value there that I see it, and it's something that I try to pursue. Spending time talking to, and I mean, I even have a video where I want to say two videos where me and a friend of mine, a Jew, who's also furry, we ended up talking some. Really, really cool guy. I don't know where he's at. He ended up talking to me, and he moved away too. So I don't know what's going on there. He just simply left, blocked me, and left. So no idea. Nothing was said. Nothing was ever told, given back to me as far as that goes. So whatever, I kind of have to just move on. Like, the kid was decent. I want to say there was another. Oh man, I don't think I ever told that story, or maybe I did. I'll need to take a look. Small Paws. This kid who, I guess I'll tell my own story of Small Paws here. I think that was his name. Oh man. So I helped this kid out of a really nasty situation, but the end result was his mom hung herself, and he found out, and he was devastated. We all were devastated, and I never heard back from him ever again. So all I can do is hope that he's doing okay. Now, as far as that goes, he came to me because I was about the only person he could trust. I'm fairly open, transparent, and I'm fun to be around as much as I can be. I don't lie. I don't cause drama. I'm often dragged into drama, but I don't cause it myself. I am very polarizing in the sense that I will speak my mind, but I will try to be professional at the same time. There are certain things that you try to do if you want to, if you value professionalism. Oh, man. So, anyway, he came to me with a serious concern, and I found out that he was being sexually abused by the pastor preacher of his local parish. So after spending a half hour to an hour talking and making sure that he was okay first and foremost, thankfully he was. It turned out he also had a brother who was being sexually abused too, and that was news to me. It it's actually pretty disgusting. I don't want to go too much into it, but I will just say that they were both used and abused, and they were. I don't believe drugs or alcohol was involved, but that was left out, so I don't know about that. The sexual abuse was there. Anyway, I'm convinced him to go to his mom to get help, which he did, very hesitantly, and it took a very long time to encourage him. As it turns out, when the police were called, and the person in the person responsible for this, he got arrested, and his mom, he found out that his mom was actually having an affair with that man, which is why she ended up hanging herself like the next day, is because she couldn't handle it, she couldn't take it, and she checked out from it. It's pretty sad, but like, all I know is that the cops ended up taking him and his brother away, and that they should be in a better place. As far as I know, they didn't have any living relatives in the area. None that I knew of. So as it is, I've I've thought about him every so often. I hope he's doing okay. This was back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to recall if there's anything else. I want to say that there was a lot of hesitancy when we were talking. He wasn't really sure about opening up. I didn't pass any judgment or criticism. I just made sure that he was safe first and foremost, and that he wasn't in any danger. Once I got more details, I was able to convince him as far as just go getting help and all that. But I still feel awful afterwards because he got out of his nasty situation, but he lost his mom, and it's one of those things where I learned a valuable lesson just to be more careful in general. And even though I'm not responsible for what happened, it's still an awful thing to try to help save someone and then they lose someone else that's important to them. Of course, she made a bad decision to begin with by getting involved with the guy who was abusing them in the first place. I do not know which started first, the relationship or the abuse. I don't know. I can't say that. Oh, man. So, yeah, the dark side of the furry fandom. Abuse, sexual abuse, it's all over the place. In fact, many who cannot find a group of friends, it seems like they either join like a gang or they get involved with a fringe community or communities. The furry community is not fringe anymore. It used to be. It is, however, not something where people normally go to. It's interesting, but like many other communities, it has its own dark side. Oh, before I forget, there's another guy I talked to back in like 2019. He was another kid. I forget his name and all that. He's doing well. He joined the Navy when him and I had some conversations. And I'm really glad to have been a part of his life for that short period of time, because I helped encourage him to make better choices and to help him pursue his dream and his passion, which was to join the Navy. So that's props there. There's other people I've talked to, but as far as like the biggest influences, it seems to be them. There was one other person, but we kind of fell out of contact. Man. It sucks when you move. A lot changes. You lose a lot of contact, but oh man, you can make some good friends along the way. Doesn't matter where you're at. So as far as the dark side of the community goes, man, okay, so people are gonna they're gonna pull up issues and problems and drama all over the place, from the outfits to the whole your mind is messed up. To be honest, we all have issues and problems. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying, you know, don't. What's that Bible verse again? You know, you're you're ignoring the plank in your own eye to point out the speck in the other person's eye. We all have issues and problems. Now, we should work on ourselves before we just simply point fingers and be like, "Hey, this is a problem. Fix it." Yeah, we know. Now, I want to say this. For something like the furry community, it's not straight up evil or wrong or immoral. I want to say gangs are different. They're not like communities. Communities have individuals that have issues and problems. Entire gangs and outfits, they could be heading down the wrong direction completely with the wrong mindset and the wrong personnel involved. I want to say companies and organizations can follow suit, but that's very different. Mostly because the direction is headed, which is the main the main concern, and the next would be which individuals are at the helm inside. Then obviously you have the HR department to help deal with any internal problems and issues. So yeah. Ah. Okay, just checking this out here. I like to. Yeah, I'm focused on the game here for a second. Don't know my beard. Blah 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 blah. Oh, okay, awesome, nice. Okay, so you got some guys to try and do a shakedown here. Cool, cool, cool. I forgot about this. Haven't played this game in like years. Oh man. We didn't go AWOL from duty to become raiders. Oof. But we've seen what the Legion does to people that survive the battles. So we wanted to be gone before the fighting starts. Huh. Awesome. Alright, cool. Convince them to leave. Yeah, I could shoot them and kill them and take their goods and stuff, but I usually don't do that. I don't play as morally ambiguous or evil characters. I don't usually just go around just like, shooting everyone. Now, if there are bandits and raiders who are just straight up like, we're going to kill you on sight, that's a different story. I don't have any qualms about taking out the trash and doing my business. Brr. Having fun there for a moment. Oh yeah, I'm a little looter. I just grab everything that's not on the ground here. Anyway, go back to the topic here before I get too distracted. Oh man, I think all the merchants left. Dang it. They did leave. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, gotta go somewhere else. I am full and I need to sell stuff. Full. Okay, Dark Side of the Furry Fandom. Fun stuff. It's really not fun, but there are some decent people in there. Now, I normally don't talk about this sort of thing because guess what? It has nothing to do with this channel. And I was hesitating on how to talk about any of this anyway, because this is important, but it's like it could get messed up and the wrong. There's a lot of ways this could go wrong and south, if that makes sense. So I have left alone thinking about this for a long time. This is not like a one video covers everything. It's basically a couple personal stories, more of a counterbalance to the actual video, which will be linked down below. And I want to say that for the most part, pointing out specific individuals specific problems and the controversies around them, it's a good way to highlight the dark side of the fandom, but at the same time, it doesn't do any good to ignore everything else that is actually positive and decent about it. I am thankful to have met the individuals who I did, the families at the community picnics, just being able to take some pictures. Everything was decent there from what I saw. Now, a lot of the issues and problems that I've heard pop up are either done in the individual's homes, at conventions where people feel like they can be free and do whatever they want, and lastly, online. But we all know that. So, there's another. There are a couple other individuals. One of them happened to have a knife and a gun collection, a very serious hobby for old technology. Like, past the cassette players, past the old 1940 stoplights. I want to say some people have some of the most interesting stuff out there when it comes down to like old collections. Oh man, it's cool hearing it was cool at the time seeing the videos that he posted up about him restoring these old like music players and stuff like that. The ones that played the old huge floppy disks. I'm blanking on the name of them. Yeah, those. I think she's gone. Right, I gotta go next door. So, let me see here. He. I don't really want to give his name away or anything like that. The kid is trying to turn his life around from what I know. He's made a lot of mistakes. He ran with the wrong groups, and he has a very bad habit of bringing weapons to these conventions, or had. I don't know if he still does. I want to say, for the most part, this kid was banned. I don't know if he still is. Haven't talked to him in years. In fact, I think he deleted his account online. But he got banned because he made other people paranoid when he brought knives and possibly a pistol or two to these conventions that he was showing up to. Excuse me. So, yeah, that would probably do it for a lot of people because, again, families show up to these public meetups or conventions. I've seen them, and it's kind of dangerous when you have someone running around with that. And as I've told others, like, if you feel the need for personal protection, leave it in your vehicle. And the first sign of danger, run. Go get it. Just keep it out of sight. Keep it away from anything that could possibly cause issues or problems. And obviously be aware of the laws of that particular area. Conventions can be all over the place. And the one that I was at in 2019 was, I want to say, South Carolina. And it was a mess because the homeless... This place was right outside of the homeless... excuse me. It was right outside of it were a whole bunch of homeless people. And just seeing two kids walk up there into the building, full view of everyone else in their fursuits, it just made me scratch my head and be like, are these kids not even paying attention to the surroundings? Because if it's one thing I've learned about the military, or one of the few, you could joke about one of the few things I've learned about the military, sure, okay, be aware of your surroundings. And, oh man, nothing came of it, thankfully, but the interaction with some of the homeless there it put me on edge. Thankfully, they didn't get violent or anything, but they were definitely angry. They were angry. They were not happy. They were some were curious about what was going on with the convention. I was like, yeah, it's probably a convention of some kind. I kept it kind of vague, like I wasn't here for that at all. It was the only convention I went to, and honestly, I don't plan on going to any more for quite a few reasons. Not because it wasn't fun or enjoyable. Yeah, it was. But you want to go with other people to any convention. These conventions are more fun with other people. And me, I'm by myself. No point. No point in going to it by myself. I might as well just watch a couple videos on it, see what other people say. I can't find enjoyment in doing stuff like that, going to these places by myself. Oh, it's now at these conventions. From I'm thinking here. I'm not doing much here. I'm not with the game. So when it comes down to some of the conventions, you've got your food stands, you got your events that are pre-planned for the course of the weekend, and I do agree because that whole weekend blues or whatever it's called, like when you leave, you get depressed. All the fun, the excitement ends. You got to go back to real life. Yeah. Oh man, it hits some people harder than others. It hit me. I know. It hit me on the way back. Now, funny enough, when I drove up to there, I had two issues. I had issues with two tires. One had a side shred, and the other one had a straight up like full on pop. And the roads in South Carolina there, whew, I don't know what it was, but it shredded up my tires. Well, that one tire. The other tires still need to be replaced because there was a hole in it. Yeah, not fun. Uh, oh man, I still don't remember where that convention was held at too. I want to say it was the FWA in 2019. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Ah, boy. So, yeah, they also sell adult stuff there at these conventions. Notoriously bad dragon products, which are they're not prostate massagers. Let me put it that way. They are toys of different kinds, including dildos. And unfortunately, the sexual fetishes have kind of gone out of control with some of these people because I think the Bible talks about how our in the end days the desires for the self will increase. They will. There's a couple verses that talk about the end times, and one of them is just simply like desire and lust will increase in the end days. And honestly, self pleasure has become a very main, prominent part of this society. So that's not even tied to the furry community; it's tied to society in general. You can see that everywhere. Capitalizing on a lot of sexual things. Young men and young women are told different things, lie different things, and well, obviously, women are highly suggested to be sexualized in different ways. It's getting pretty bad. The division is here when it comes down to the problems between, keeping men and women apart on different levels. It's starting out. How do I say this? It's starting out at a very bad time for those who are young. Like, you basically have to supervise your kids 24/7 and figure out how to navigate this mess with the internet and the smartphones and cell phones. Schools, I am hearing and I'm seeing videos, I'm seeing examples of how unruly the classroom has become. Fights are going all over, and how like everyone's using smartphone literally in the class, and how like the teachers are quitting. They're breaking down. They can't handle the stress. Like, it's getting bad all over. That's the point I'm trying to make. The dark side of the furry fandom, again, is no different than others. Now, what makes it different is, and he's kind of right. I'm gonna put my controller down here for a second. So the guy's kind of right. There is an interest there, a personal interest. There are three different types of things that I've seen with individuals in the furry community. You got those who are there for the art. They like the style. They like the characters. They find them very attractive or very pleasing to the eye. And it's very much like, this is kind of cool. It's very surface level. Then you've got others who are they are involved with the community. They set up events. They get to know other people, and they may actually have a couple of characters of their own. not everyone in the furry community actually has their own characters. Fursonas and sonas. Fur and then Sona. And yeah, he's right about the combination of the words personality and I want to say furry character, but there's probably history behind that. Now, I want to say the online version of that I think would be the avatar because that's more prevalent for everyone because you can create a representation of who you are digitally speaking. And I'm made a couple of videos, I think 2 videos talking about this a long time ago. Oh, okay. Let me see here. The last one is actually the hardest hitting one because it messes with your identity of who you are. You are your character online. Now the problem there is when your own identity is something you struggle with to the point where you try to make your online identity real. Like this is who you are, and you're taking what is online and 2 dimensional and trying to apply it to you as you are now. And you're going one step further than just simply role play. You're going one step further than simply this is what I like. You're saying this is who you are. And this is sad on a number of levels, and it's not something I blame anyone for because identity issues are something that are prevalent in young men these days. They're not growing up with fathers, growing up in broken homes. They're not growing up with instructions. They're basically being told, according to some of the feminists who I've heard, about, women good, men bad. Basically, they're tearing men down, young boys too, and they're not building them up. They're leaving them there, and some are actually. Which one's mine? Give me a second. All right, that's mine. Okay, sorry about that. So they're not building the kids up; they're tearing them down, and in many cases, lies, false allegations. These will pop on the more hate and issues that you gather in the wherever you're at. This isn't even necessarily furry community related. You get on someone's bad side, they may just make up some shit about you and get you in trouble that way. It's happened to me. It's happened to others. This is nothing new. It's sad, but there's not much you can do about it except protect yourself and try to stay out of harm's way because this is just it's only going to get worse until it improves somehow. Sadly. Okay, moving on. The 3 different types of identity, the concerns and all that in the furry community. Talked about the adult toys. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. I want to say that overall, my stake in all of this, I had someone in my own life who was involved. I'm trying to, how do I phrase this? Back during my first deployment, I was around several other people, and one of them was very close to me. And she was special needs. She was disabled, I believe. Very sweethearted. I do not know where she's at. I wish her the best. I don't even know if she's alive. I've had other friends back then too. One of them passed away, and her daughter called me up on her mom's cell phone and let me know that her mom had passed away because we were that close. We had phone numbers. We had each other's phone number. This was back in 2017, but I didn't process it until 2019. And it was the main reason why I came back to, or rather, why I stopped on by to check out the furry fandom, and what I saw horrified me. That's why I spent time talking to many of these younger men out there. That's why I care. But again, talking about this is hard because it's like, how do you talk about something so problematic? And how do you bring up some of these issues that are actually severe? Like, same-sex relationships and homosexuality are rampant, and they're all over. The difference between the two, as what I've been able to piece together, there's a manuscript. I'm blanking on his name. Manuscript. Oh, Matthew Vines. There we go. Matthew Vines had something. I was about ready to pull my other phone and look for it. He put out a manuscript talking about same sex and homosexuality, and I'll link that down below too. Very cool. Decent guy. So, overall, what I've been able to break down is homosexuality is a lifestyle revolving around nothing but yourself, your desires, you pursuing sex. You don't even care about a relationship. In fact, if there is one, you're basically ignoring it. There's no intimacy. There's no respect. Now, a same-sex relationship is more of like a committed relationship, like in the sense like marriage. Two people in a relationship actively trying to improve that relationship. From what I'm hearing, that may not be the case in real life, but there's commitment. There's a lot of intimacy, so to speak. It is akin to marriage in a lot of ways. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I've learned quite a bit about it, and some of it I may never talk about on here because it's private, it's personal, and I don't see the real need to share it. Now, I will say this. I think from what I've learned in my time around these individuals is that a lot of the stuff, when it comes down to their relationships, like if they're in a same-sex relationship, not just simply pray for them and give them advice, but there is the underlying issue of like just how messed up did their life get, and did they grow up crooked? What did they grow up on? What teachings? What is their foundation? And you find out like they become crooked in many different ways. They're not straight, and they don't know. Their sense of right and wrong and morality is off, plain and simple. And this is a problem for a number of reasons, because if you can't recognize a red flag or a warning, you can't recognize the road. This is akin to road signs when you're driving. If you can't recognize them, you could go right off a cliff. You could go right into something that and cause a whole bunch of damage to yourself or others. It's very much like that. If you're not aware of your surroundings, you're likely to something will happen. It's just a matter of time. Now, as far as what I've understood, some people have been changed permanently because of trauma, not because, oh, we're born gay. Now, the previous video, as I pointed out, and I did do some research into it, same-sex relationships exist in the animal kingdom. Insects, mainly referring to insects and all of that. I did this video, I want to say like 2+ years ago. Yeah, I think 2+ years ago at this point in time. And it's very interesting because it's not for the point of reproduction, it's to deceive predators. Like male on male, it's there to protect the females and to deceive the predators. And that's it. It's not because they want to or they find the other attractive. Now, that can be the case of mistaken identity. Yeah, that can be. I've heard of that. I've seen a couple of videos on that. It's very interesting. There is chemicals in the water, in the land, from different places that has an impact on this as well. This is not exactly related, but there's some sort of recently I heard about this one, I don't remember what it was called. This stuff that was put into the ground, it seeped into the ground, and some of these animals started foaming at the mouth. I just cannot for the life of me remember what it was called. I want to say I saw this like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Crazy stuff. You don't exactly want to see animals foaming at the mouth near you because there was some shit put into the water. Dumped into the water. Like, the sewage in this particular area was not handled properly, and it actually started affecting the wildlife around them. Yeah, that's problematic. You could joke about how Walmart was probably involved because there's lawsuits against them dumping stuff into the water and all that. But yeah, okay, now that I'm done there, I had to think there for a minute. Some of the stuff is just awful. people get hurt, people get used, and worse, people are going to grow up outside of a community, outside of a family, and they're going to be looking for people to be a part of. It's sad, but when you're looking for something to be a part of, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when there's nothing there? It when you're stuck in a 9 to 5 job, or you're stuck in a job where you're not you're in a cycle, you're in a loop, and you're having trouble making your way outside, and making friends and all this. And on top of this, a lot of people move too for different reasons, cheaper apartments or whatever. Their job required it, etc. You gotta like start over from scratch. Well, from previous experience as well, but a new area, a new environment, new people. And on top of that, churches themselves are in the decline. A lack of younger people inside the church, a lack of space and areas for them, and it's very hard. I myself am affected by it. I want to take a break from the church. I'm tired. My depression there is not winning, but it's definitely making it harder to connect with like others. And the ones who I've been able to talk to, I've been able to actually have genuine friendships with, even if we're on the opposite sides and we disagree. You know, same sex versus homosexuality is a big thing that we disagree upon, and that's fine. I just happened to learn some things that made it in a very personal perspective, put in a personal perspective. This isn't about right or wrong so much as it is about how it affects you personally and what your stake in all of this is. Because if you grow up wrong and crooked, or there's abuse and trauma involved, you could be permanently changed. You know, just as your brain chemistry is permanently changed, more or less, by after a certain amount of time of like pornography use, that stuff becomes ingrained in you to the point where it's like it may take 10, 20 years for it to leave your system. Your brain being rewired is not something that's going to just disappear overnight on its own. I've heard of people who've had their porn addiction and other issues shut off instantaneously. One of them was this very interesting older man who was gay. And he explained his story to me, and I was like, that is awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I have personal issues with the guy myself because I found him annoying. I don't want to go into it. I'm not talking bad about anyone. I don't do that. But I will say that he was very hard, very grating on me, my nerves. Just everything there. But I did thank him for his story. Oh, man. I hate it when you come across people with good stories who are just like, we can't talk. We're at an impasse here. I absolutely despise it. Because it's often not them. It's something that they're doing that just causes complications. Anyway, before I get too off track here, with the furry fandom and all that, a collection of misfits would probably be a better description. Now, for the people who are in charge, some are local organizers and people who lead their own online groups and all that. It's important to note that the ones who are in leadership positions usually are the ones who are stable with like families and all that, from what I have gathered. Not entirely, not always, but there's definitely some of the better ones out there. They're solid, they're stable, and they're doing okay. But for the others, they're either pushing a narrative or they've got their own issues and problems that is making them not good leaders, and they actively have issues that need to be fixed. It's sad, but not much you can do about it, sadly. Talk to them, point it out carefully, obviously. Maybe asking, putting it in form of a question so that you can see if they're going to come to the conclusion on their own, rather than just simply pushing it right in front of their face. Like pushing stuff in front of them, kind of like pushing Bible verses in front of people. It doesn't help in the way that you want it to. It doesn't make the positive impact that you would want. Living your faith, being fun to be around, this stuff draws other people among other characteristics. And unfortunately, many in the furry community don't have that. They will instead go after people who do have that. They will try to be around them. And they'll try to be around those with like provocative and sexually promiscuous looking characters. I think. I think that's how it works. And this is online, not in real life. Real life, it's hard to emulate anything that is sexually. How do you put this? It's hard to have an outfit in real life that is very sexual, very sexually revealing. Because this is an outfit that you put on. This is a representation of your character, not you. So it's a lot easier getting art done, but getting something done in real life like that you don't see that because that's like impossible to do. You probably theoretically could do that, but I have personally yet to see any of this ever. Again, I don't like talking about any of this stuff, but I feel the real need to point out some of these other things too. The decent people inside, the people who I've spent time talking to, the stories, and the dozens of pictures that I've taken back in 2019. Honestly, I didn't take much anything beyond that because once I moved. I was gone. And once the issues and problems started, I was gone. Not, I was gone from that one particular group and area, yeah. Moving, I think it was a blessing to have moved when I did. I was able to avoid a lot of issues and a lot of problems, but not everything got solved when I moved away. Some things still remain, sadly. I think that's it. If there's anything else, I'll probably add it down below. This is, again, not a comprehensive video on everything. This is more of a point, both a counter and to add additional points to the particular video that I'll link down below. It will be the first one. The other one will be linked second down below. I recommend looking into both because they're both excellent and decent. And unfortunately, there are many who are not accepted in their communities where they're at. They don't have their own family of sorts. And the furry community is like a family of sorts. People want to care, people want to have a good time, and they want people to care about themselves. And they don't get that where they're from. So it is kind of sad. All right, until next time. As an afterthought, I want to say that there's a lot more here that is hard to see because we are very narrow minded. We only see what is in front of us and what's around us, but we have trouble seeing the bigger picture. There's a there are also many who only believe whatever is pushed forward. They don't investigate beyond further than what like Fox News or CNN or whatever the mainstream media or whatever their favorite YouTuber or whatever puts forward. So, like, if they say something like this group is bad or evil, a lot of people tend to believe. Now, on the other side, if others are like praising this group or people or person and like they can do no wrong, you probably got a couple of supporters who jump on board and say, yeah, they're fully on board with that. That's not quite the case here. The furry fandom and all that, it's full of many broken individuals who have lost a lot, have been traumatized. They're born with severe issues that just are degenerative. I want to say that seems to be all over the place, but the lack of a family and character and all that, it's a common ground for why people are involved in the first place, not just because they like the art. Now, I was contemplating on pulling up some images from online, but it may be best to leave it alone. The last picture is probably the best thing that sums it up in a very humorous take, and it does include a bit of art. I take no I take no credit for that. I don't really know who the artist is for that one. I will say, as far as there are two pictures that I added to that stream that were not mine that I did not take. They were from somewhere online. The first one was the brown outfit, and that is from someone a female who used to be in the Air Force, and she was popular because she wore a fursuit. And the other one is right behind that, I believe. The rest I took myself, I believe. Some of these are just way too good. There's a very realistic wolf outfit that I saw too. Like, it literally looked like a wolf. But there was a person inside of it. It was right next to their dog. Pretty cool, but I can't find it. Alright. I think that's it. I honestly think that's it. There's more to add, but you'd be talking about specific individuals and the problems that they have and all of that. Keep that in mind, because some of these people, and I will say this, some of these people, they have no business being in the furry fandom, in the furry community. They like kids, and they hide among those they can get away with doing whatever they do. And this is one of the few communities, along with the LGBTQ community, where they can hide and do their business with very little, what's the word? There's very little way for them to get caught, since their interactions are minimum and kind of generalized. But some of these communities, from what I've heard, they harbor them and they kick out anyone who would be against or who would want to turn them in. This would be on platforms like Telegram, for example, where anonymity is king. All right. Just had to add this little afterthought in here. Hope you like it.